Have you ever had a deja vu feeling while watching SpongeBob? Have you noticed that some scenes in the show featuring the Krusty Krab employee have been repeated a few times? We've already talked on this show about how Disney reuses its characters and scenes in other movies and shows, but it certainly isn't the only one. This happens a lot in SpongeBob too, like when SpongeBob is learning to drive and he knocked down the same tower twice, this time, and this one. And this is just one of the scenes. We've gathered many others for you. Number 1. SpongeBob's spatula. Unlike most living beings, SpongeBob loves his job, and because he loves what he does so much, he also loves his tools, and among them is his beloved spatula. In an episode in the 4th season, we see SpongeBob needing to use his small tool to grill a giant Krabby Patty. However, as it is very heavy, the poor spatula can't handle it and ends up breaking, much to SpongeBob's despair. We notice that almost the same thing happens in Season 9 when the spatula breaks again, and guess how SpongeBob reacts?
Wow!
Indeed, I don't think he has overcome the trauma yet. Poor SpongeBob. Number 2. Squidward and the Pebbles. If there's someone Squidward doesn't like having around, it's SpongeBob. In this episode, we see that while talking to his yellow neighbor, Squidward accelerates his car and some small pebbles hit SpongeBob's innocent face. But as they say, what goes around comes around, and we notice the same thing happens again. However, this time the victim is Squidward himself. You can see that the animators use the same type of drawing and situation in both episodes. Number 3. Weightlifting SpongeBob. We know that sports are not SpongeBob's strong suit. Perhaps that's why the animators decided to reuse the same scene in 2 episodes, as we can see. Oh, and both episodes are from the same season, the first one. In the very first episode of SpongeBob, Help Wanted, we see him doing this plush toy weightlifting, and in the 11th episode, Muscle Bob Buff Pants, we see this scene. Tell me, aren't they practically identical? The same weight and the same plush toys. Number 4. Mr. Krabs' Money Bathtub. It's normal for everyone to have a strange habit or two, but swimming in money is something for the select few. Just ask Scrooge McDuck. Mr. Krabs is not far behind, as he enjoys using a bathtub filled with cash to relax, and he does it whenever possible, as you can see. The same scene, practically identical. Number 5. Hand gestures and the rainbow. I think everyone remembers having seen SpongeBob at least once making those hand movements and creating a rainbow above his head when saying the word imagination. We see Sandy doing exactly the same thing when talking about SpongeBob's imaginary friend, and it's practically the same scene, just with Sandy in SpongeBob's place.
Imagination. I get it. He's your imaginary friend.
They definitely recycled the rainbow in this one. Number 6. SpongeBob's eyes. In an episode of SpongeBob from the 6th season called To SquarePants or Not to SquarePants, we see in a meeting with Squidward and Mr. Krabs that SpongeBob says he'll keep an eye on things. And in the episode Lost and Found from the 10th season, we see the exact same thing. I don't know about you, but these 2 scenes give me a little bit of fear of SpongeBob. Comment down below if it's just me or if you feel the same way too. Number 7. Blowing Plankton. We see the same thing happening in 2 different episodes. Also in the 6th season, in the episode Driven to Tears, we see SpongeBob's band. And it looks like there's something gross dripping from Bob's nose when he blows it, but it turns out to be Plankton hiding in there.
They're gone.
You will never speak of this to anyone!
The exact same thing happens in the 13th season when once again SpongeBob needs to blow his nose. And guess who comes out again? Number 8. Squidward's t-shirt. Everyone knows by heart what SpongeBob wears. The brown pants, the white shirt, and the red tie are his trademarks. In this episode, we see those clothes change a bit. Squidward offers Bob his own shirt, and he accepts. And let's agree, it looks pretty cool, right? In this other episode, Squidward throws his suitcase on SpongeBob, and when he opens it, there it is, just like it was in the other episode you just watched. The animators have saved some ink on this one because it's simply identical. Number 9. Squidward's bike accident. One of the vehicles Squidward uses the most to get around is his bicycle, but maybe he should stop riding it because I don't think it's doing him much good. Just look at how this time he has an accident because of a jellyfish. And in this other episode, the exact same thing happens. Even the ending is the same. He simply explodes in both instances.
Don't say anything, Squidward. Remember your karma. What?
Poor Squidward. Number 10. SpongeBob stretching his legs. We know that cartoons can do things that are impossible in the real world, and we see SpongeBob doing the same strange thing with his legs twice in 2 different episodes. First here while blowing his famous bubbles, and in this second one, he was cheering for the Krusty Krab team.
Bring it around town.
Oh, you tell him, Mr. Krabs. Bring it around town. Yeah!
I have to say that despite being a scene reuse, it was quite funny. Number 11. SpongeBob and his thoughts. We know that thinking is not one of SpongeBob's strong suits, but he has a typical thinking pose that has been reused in several episodes. We see it here in episode 58 of the 3rd season, called Missing Identity, where he is thinking while in the trash with Patrick. In this same episode, we see him using the pose again, and in episode 147 of the 7th season, we see him strike the same pose once again. Number 12. Mr. Krabs' transformation. Sometimes it seems like the animators want to take a break and include some realistic images in SpongeBob SquarePants, like in these 2 instances where we get to see what Mr. Krabs would look like in the real world. First, when they're at the wishing well, and the second time he transforms but then returns to normal. But we can see that it's practically the same thing that happens both times. Even the plate and sides are the same.
Oh, where am I?
Hey, you're going right back out there until you sell a penny!
Number 13. Patrick's eyes. This is definitely a typical case of scene reuse. In Season 8, Episode 172, we see Patrick simply raise the height of his own eyes, going to the edge of his head. In Episode 216, Season 11, we see him simply do the same thing. Seriously, I think any scene involving eyes like that freaks me out a bit. Number 14. SpongeBob shouldn't drive. If SpongeBob actually existed, I certainly wouldn't hitch a ride with him because we can say that he doesn't have many driving skills. We see in this episode where he's just trying to get out of a parking spot with his driving instructor Mrs. Puff by his side, but it doesn't go very well. And then this other time, with a different driving instructor by his side, instead of getting out of the spot, he ends up getting into it. It seems like he's going to do better, but it's only an illusion. In fact, he's even worse. I guess Bob's real talent is being an excellent burger flipper after all. Number 15. Squidward's dances. As much as SpongeBob is a bad driver, Squidward is a bad dancer. And the scene of Squidward dancing is one of the most reused in the series. We see it early in the 1st season, in the 10th episode, Culture Shock. I don't think people really liked it. And we see, let's say, the same performance at the end of the movie, SpongeBob SquarePants, Sponge Out of Water. And we see him doing that weird dance again in the episode Squid's on a Date in the 12th season. And once again in an episode in the final season. Really, this dance isn't appreciated by the folks in Bikini Bottom. Well, folks, those were the 15 reused scenes in SpongeBob SquarePants. Did you notice any of them before watching our video? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, bye-bye.